Hello, welcome to Glass. Hi there, my name's Danielle James, and I am the shop coordinator here at Glass. And we are a neon restoration, education, and production facility here in the heart of Raleigh, North Carolina. And we're going to make some work. Let's do it. This is a piece of neon artwork that I made a few years back of a series of 12 neon pieces that I did based on messages that I got while I was online dating in Raleigh. This one is Why You Not Want Kids For. It's my most popular piece, but as you can see, if we turn off the neon on it and adjust the lighting real quick, that there is actually a background here, and there's actually a vintage advertisement of creepy children. All the different backgrounds are different on these pieces, and I make them from pieces of wood. But recently I have been combining my love of thrift shopping and hoarding thrift store paintings. So I have a lot of them, and I use them a lot in newer pieces of work that I've been doing recently to kind of give them a facelift and elevate them back up to a piece of artwork instead of a piece of manufactured, mass-produced trash. So come with me and we'll tell you more. And like I said, I have a lot of these thrift store paintings, and I'd like to show a few of them to you. We have desert landscape. I like to pick paintings that have cool stuff going on, but also a lot of negative space for me to add something in neon. If there's not a lot of negative space in something, sometimes I have to add it, which is an extra step. So sometimes I really do love when I can just pick up a painting and add something to it. And it's like not so stressful as to have to design something very specific. Whenever I can, I'll pick up these black velvet paintings, like this one, the surgically impaired horse is what I've been calling him. And it'll maybe turn into a Pegasus or some type of unicorn. I love the black velvet. It absorbs the light of neon just so beautifully, and I think they're really underrated pieces of folk art. This one is, I've been calling him Emo Black Panther. I think there's going to be some kind of manicure situation soon. Very excited about that one. I'm also stoked on the new trend of taking your Instagram pictures and sending them out to probably somewhere overseas to get them stretched and framed on canvas and then donating it to your local thrift store. This one had the same deal, it just had a little tiny lighthouse right here. So as I said earlier, so much negative space was available to me, and I added this lovely lady via a collage method. And yeah, she's waiting around. We're waiting around to see what she's going to become, what she wants to be. And I've already built a box in the original box so that she's ready to go for the electronic situation in the back when inspiration strikes. But today, or rather in a series of days combined into one video, I will be working on this beautiful piece. Look at him. Look at that mug. We're going to make him light up. We're going to give him some neon. Let's talk about what actually is going on in this thing. So stay tuned. Alright, here I have taken a photograph of our bear, and we are ready to use the magic of Illustrator to design some neon to go on top of him. So I was drawn to this painting because of his expression and because of the openness in his paw. And so thinking personally about it, I really enjoy the way he kind of looks like he's been caught doing something. And honestly, recently I've been feeling like as people we are always on for social media because we may not be able to be social with actual people right now. And it may lead to people judging each other's houses or hair or the way that they look when they're in their comfort zone, aka their home or their place of work. And I would like to distill all those feelings down into this piece, but also be a little silly about it. So I decided we're going to make him say, "Quick, act natural," and we're going to give him a beverage in his hand. So check back with me in a few hours and when I finally decide on what font to use. I finally decided on this kind of natural looking State Park font, and I decided to give him a 2-liter/40 bottle in his hand to give him a little bit more personality. And now we're ready for the plotter. This is my pattern. It's gone through a couple reincarnations since I designed it on the computer. I decided that I wanted to go with a can versus the 40-ounce style container with alcohol. And I realized that this font is extremely hard to bend. So to do this, I basically need to retrace this whole pattern so that I can see it on the back to eventually mount the neon onto the bear. Welcome to my bench. We have a bunch of tools that we use in the neon bending world. Some of them are kind of obvious, and some of them are very foreign looking. And so we're going to go over them just for fun. This is kind of the most just kind of fun one, in my opinion. It is a measuring dial for lengths of tubing. We use 4-foot sticks of different types of glass, and in order to know how many sticks to use, we can measure using our pattern that we made earlier. I have it at 0 right now, and if we just kind of go along our pattern, it will tell me that that cue is 14 inches of glass, which is kind of crazy that it's just this size of cue and it's all over a foot long of glass. So something like this would actually be a little too short. I wouldn't make it all the way to where I needed to make it, which is really helpful to know. That's what that does. Also got my super secret, awesome Pocahontas Sharpie holder / pencil holder, which has my pencils that are specifically made to mark on glass. You can see my markings, maybe. Yep, they are. And so those are the markings we use when we're bending. When we make a measurement, this is the middle of the bend we want to make, and then we make 2 other marks on either side of that bend.
to give us enough room of heated material to actually complete the bend without any kinking. We've got some safety glasses here that protect my eyeballs from both shards of glass flying out and also the flares that exist when you will see shortly once we get to heating the glass. All neon units that we make actually end up with these on the ends of them. These are two recycled, they're called electrodes. One has a tube and is called a tubulated electrode, and then here we have our non-tubulated electrode, and it is basically where eventually we will hook up to an electrical source to make them light up. Those get attached eventually. We also have a metal screen to keep down on our pattern to stop any flammable paper from making contact with the very, very hot glass. While we are bending, I will be using this style of a blow hose. It actually wraps around my neck so that I can blow when the glass is hot enough. At the same time as that, we always use a block with different materials. We have different fire retardant materials. This is just a piece of wood to flatten your piece down to the table to keep it flat so that you don't have any wonkiness while you're trying to do the rest of the process. Attached to my blow hose, I will have a little boot, we call it, that actually swivels around, a little swivel boot that will give me a little bit more flexibility and will attach to the actual end of each tube. So that we can blow into it. We also have what we call electrode holders. They do what they sound like they do. They hold our electrodes while we are putting them in the flame and making it hot and putting them together. Electrode holder. It's just a brass tube with weird stuff on it. So yes, that is the basic setup of your neon bending station. So it seems like maybe we should do some bending. Let's give it a go.
Shut up and sit down.
At this point in the bending process, I am adding the electrodes to the units I've bent. The electrodes will connect to the electrical power supply once we are finished, and once the wonderful Taylor Dratlow pumps argon into them and sucks out all of the impurities and creates a vacuum. While we wait for the neon units to age on the aging table that Taylor so nicely pumped for us, I will start getting the background ready, which means building a box and structurally supporting what will hold the neon. And for right now, it's just some black velvet fabric. So we need to kind of hunk that up a little bit, make it stronger, and something that can live outside the shop as a piece of actual artwork. Once the units are aged on the aging table, they need to be what we call blocked out. And that just means dipped in a highly pigmented black paint that will obstruct the light from coming through the glass in places that we have connections between the letters.
And now we wait. Sometimes when you're short like me, it really helps to get a better angle to see the lineup of everything. Like I said, I'm going to be drilling some holes in this, and I only have one chance to do it correctly, so we'd like that to be a positive experience. And because I've got lettering, it's a little bit more complicated with spacing, but I think that we have made the marks. Now we will drill the holes. Take a deep breath. So right now, the glass units that I bent, that Taylor pumped full of argon gas, are just laying in this little cradle hole I've created. In order for it to be a safe thing that can be hung up without the neon falling off, we have to employ these lovely contraptions called tube supports. So you can see right here, we've got a little saddle that has a spring on it and a little drill foot. So I'm going to actually use my Phillips head screwdriver and drill underneath slightly my units so that I can support them, and then eventually tie them down with a metal wire so that they are secure and evenly elevated off of the background.
Now it's time to wire this baby up.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me in the studio. I'm really happy with how he turned out, and I think I deserve a beer. Stay safe and act natural.